Yeah, I've said it before. I've said it a million times, and I will say it again. Hollywood has officially run out of ideas. And we've gotten past the point of scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're kind of like scraping the molten core of the earth at this point. Now, what has been announced is not just a spin-off or a sequel, but a sequel trilogy to 1999's 10 Things I Hate About You. Obviously, Heath Ledger is not going to be a part of it. I don't think Julia Stiles will be a part of it either, but that's TBD at the moment.
If I'm being honest, I love the original, so this particular, like you guys know, I love the slop. But I feel like slop makes sense for action movies. Slop makes sense for superhero movies. Slop makes sense for horror movies a little bit. But like romantic comedies, I don't want the slop.
I don't
personally.
I don't want the Lindsay Lohan Freaky Friday reboot. I don't want any of it. And I didn't really even like 10 Things I Hate About You because it's not my generation.
Yeah.
And people know that. It turned into a whole controversy on the channel. But why do we need to make it into a cinematic universe?
The 10 Things I Hate About Universe. If they don't call it the 10 Things I Hate About Universe, they're stupid.
Well, they're already stupid. We know that for a fact. But there are 3 sequels to 10 Things I Hate About You in development, titled the following: 10 Things I Hate About Dating, 10 Things I Hate About Marriage, and 10 Things I Hate About Kids.
I mean, it's right up Hollywood's alley to be that depressing. Like, the thing is when they made 10 Things I Hate About You, you could still buy into the fact that it's a bit snarky, but there's some genuine emotion behind it.
There's whimsy.
There's whimsy. Yes, that's the word for it. There's whimsy in 10 Things I Hate About You, because one of the themes of that movie is that you take Kat's icy feminist exterior and you break it down, and you break her down until she cares about another person to the point where she cries in the middle of class. It goes from a bit what would be the word for it? So it's like, it's a bit weird in the way that it starts, because it's not really a traditional comedy. At least I don't think of it as a traditional comedy, because it felt more...
I mean, it's a rom-com.
It's a rom-com. Okay, so it goes into this territory where you go on this ride with this person who is very, very solitary, independent, has a plan for their life. She's quick to make a joke at everyone's expense, and you break her down little by little until she cries in class. And that's a pretty important moment. We always laugh about the paintball scene, but I still find that scene to be the almost more impactful, where it's like she would laugh at herself if she saw herself doing what she was doing in that scene, if it was anybody else, right? Do I buy that they're going to be able to draw that much emotion to turn somebody from snarky loner to curious to interested to kind of heartbroken, all the way back to interested again? I don't want to see them do that with the concepts of dating or the concepts of marriage, and especially not kids. Like, and as people point out, 10 Things I Hate About You isn't a modern adaptation of Taming the Shrew, so how do you make sequels on something that doesn't have sequel material? You don't.
Well, we'll get into the details. And I'm not a fan of the original. I can still recognize the core of its appeal, the way that you put it. And modern storytelling just reviles any form of vulnerability, and that's why this can't happen.
Okay, so here's the thing. Her snark, like, what's weird about it is, like, her snark in that movie is now exactly what you hate about most characters today. But at that time...
Only because there's nothing underneath it these days.
There was whimsy at that time, because for all her snark, she is broken down to her core and made emotional by this person, by this guy.
And she even rekindles a good relationship with her sister.
And in line with her father. Like, again, that's the sad thing. Is the dad going to allowed to be overprotective and loving?
Hell no.
Or is he going to be doofy and stupid?
He was a little doofy,
but he's not stupid.
Yeah. So Gil Younger, who directed the original 1999 comedy 10 Things I Hate About You, reveals exclusively to People that a follow-up film titled 10 Things I Hate About Dating is in the works from himself and the original producer Andrew Lazar. The film has not been greenlit yet. Younger, who is currently co-writing the script with Nia L. James, plans to make it the first in a trilogy with 2 more subsequent installments, 10 Things I Hate About Marriage and 10 Things I Hate About Kids. He says 10 Things I Hate About Dating is definitively in the works as a feature film. We're developing it right now. He teases that he and Andrew Lazar have some pretty good ideas. So that's exciting.
Maybe, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna make 10 Things I Hate About Kids, and it's gonna be Cameron and Bianca, and they're gonna have kids. Because Joseph Gordon-Levitt's still a legit star.
Well, I think they're going to come up with a revival, just totally new cast based on the information here.
Don't do it.
Similarly to how the first film was a modern retelling of Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew, 10 Things I Hate About Dating will be inspired by Molière's 1666 play The Misanthrope, as told people by Gil Younger. And although it's unclear how much of the original setting and plot will play a part in the new story, he would love to see some familiar faces in the next iteration, which will be aimed at an audience in their 30s as opposed to the first film's teen audience.
Yeah, her feminism.
So the same people that liked the 1999 one.
Her feminism, like the feminism is going to have to be done so deftly and so artfully. I
would love to work with Julia Stiles again. She shaped the lives of millions of women. That Cat character really spoke to young women in a very powerful way.
Eventually, we're going to have to get like a spin-off about the student, the school guidance counselor writing her erotic novel. Tempestuous.
Yikes.
That was Allison Janney.
There's just so much that can't be replicated, and
also the teacher that
shouldn't be.
The teacher that sends them to the office. That's Daryl Mitchell, who we talked about yesterday because of the story about disabled actors. Because that actor, after that movie was made, was he's in a wheelchair now, and he's still acting these days.
It sounds like he wants to bring back some members of the original cast. Obviously, you can't bring back Heath Ledger, but he plans on, I guess, giving him some kind of a nod or acknowledgement in the next movie.
He'll have gone back to Australia.
But we're over 25 years on from the original.
Again, they'll have Cameron and Bianca, and Kat won't make an appearance, but maybe for a couple of episodes to come be the aunt.
She's the wine aunt.
Yeah, she's the wine aunt
she brings
to
all
Bianca's
the gifts,
kids.
But she only gives them socks and books.
Yep.
And then on top of the sequel trilogy, what has also been announced in the past month is a 10 Things I Hate About You Broadway musical currently in development, co-written by both Carly Rae Jepsen and Lena Dunham.
Wow, I hate it.
So you've got some real star power.
They can put they can make a whole thing based around the line where I know you can be overwhelmed. That's the question they will ask the audience. I know you can be overwhelmed and that you can be underwhelmed, but can you ever just be whelmed? I think you can in Europe. That's what they'll make the play about.
Look, I mean, I just think it's an insult to the audience at this point. Like, or maybe it's just that there are people like Gil Younger who kind of want to relive their like glory days, you know? They can't move past it because if you have one big thing in your career that really made you the person you are in your industry, how do you move on from that? Like, maybe he's just trying to rewind and kind of reinvigorate that.
Yeah.
But it's not possible.
Yeah, and nothing else that he's made ever really reached that level of success.
No.
So I don't have any interest in this. Again, like I said, you want to remake Jurassic Park with Scarlett Johansson? Sure. I'll watch the slop. I'll watch Scarlett Johansson battle dinosaurs. I'll watch a new Superman. I will watch a new action movie based on the previous IP. But taking something that had a fair amount of cultural relevance for a whole generation of people, it kind of rang true for. And again, that at that time, feminist characters were a lot easier to do because there was a lot less public dislike for the idea of feminism. It was still seen as
Sure.
something niche. Like the idea at that time period in like 1999 was like, yeah, of course, every school's got the feminist who quotes Sylvia Plath and
An archetype of a
and goes
person.
to the records. She goes to the record store. She doesn't have CDs. She goes to get vinyl, right? That was an archetype of that age. Nowadays, there is no whimsy and there is no love loss for any type of feminism.
Yeah,
so
who
doing
is
it now,
who is the quirky girl these days? If they're all like Cat
they're gonna
Stratford now?
have to get Sydney Sweeney to play Cat. That's the only thing. That's their only choice. Julia Stiles grew up to look like Sydney Sweeney, and then somehow only 10 years have gone by and not 30 or 20.
I don't think so. I don't
Sydney
think that's
Sweeney
doable.
as
Look,
Cat. No, well, you know who they're gonna get? Zendaya. We're gonna get Zendaya or Jenna. Okay, so that's what's gonna be. Zendaya is gonna play Cat, and Jenna Ortega is gonna play Bianca.
Great.
It's gonna be great.
I'm so excited.
It's gonna be awesome.
The reasons that I disliked the original were maybe just my own personal gripes, like my own hangups. First of all, I think that Julia Stiles' character kind of indoctrinated a lot of young women to think that if you are relentlessly bitchy to a guy that you're interested in, that eventually
He will break
just
down his barrier, his wall, and he will let you in somehow.
In real life, like, a little bit of push and pull is a different story than just being a bitch. And then on top of that, it was weird to me that they portrayed her as being like universally hated at her school to the point where no guy would date her even for a bribe. The truth is, if she's hot and a weird person with like personality quirks and flaws, and she's kind of rude, if she's hot, like, I guarantee you the guys at her high school do not care and they would date her anyway.
Yep.
So, I mean, you could say she wasn't interested, but I don't know. The way that they wrote that into the story was confusing to me.
Look, from what I remember, that movie shot on no sound stages. It was all filmed on location. That would be
That's
impressive.
cool.
Film the whole thing in the real world.
Yeah, I don't know if they're capable of that these days either.
We'll have to wait and see. But I don't think anybody was actually asking for the 10 things I hate about Universe.
No.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.